Thank you very much, Carl and Peter. Welcome, everyone. My name is Juan Soto. I am the president of IT Impact, Microsoft Access MVP, and one of the co-founder of AccessUserGroups.org, where we meet on throughout the month. We have actually Maria Barnes and Susan Pine, who are also group presidents of Access Lunchtime and Access Beginners on this call, on this session here as well. So I'm going to ask them to say hi in the comments there. If you want to connect with them to learn more about what they do in terms of their session schedule, you can go to accessusergroups.org and look at the side here where we have the chapters listed. Today is a quick chat, 15-minute chat. I'm going to talk to you about an effort that we just launched this week called the COVID-19 Supplies Database. It's a Microsoft Access database that we created for this pandemic. You know, when it started, we were wondering how we can help and be able to help the world with this terrible crisis. And when we saw hospitals going up in Central Park and in convention centers, and there was even talk about Korean Hospital, one of the largest churches and Gothic churches in the world, we said, well, the hospital can go up in a matter of a few days, but we're wondering if the IT infrastructure is there to support that hospital. And so if somebody were to be using a spreadsheet, for example, to keep track of what PPE was on hand, ventilators they have, it could be challenging because the spreadsheet tells you what you have right now. It doesn't tell you, maybe it won't tell you what you got a few days ago donated to your organization or what went out, or be able to give you burn rates in terms of the inventory. So we burned the candle on both ends. In a matter of 3 weeks, we were able to create a database that keeps not only to keep track of what you receive. So, for example, you receive a donation from a foundation, but also what you've issued, and be able to analyze that and be able to use it in Access, which is not required to have internet access, right? So if you're in a village in India or in the Amazon or a remote location where internet is spotty, you can download this once and be able to use it locally to keep track of your PPE, your ventilators, and so forth. So we created a website, CovidSuppliesDatabase.com, and let me go ahead and show you real quick the application. Give me a second here. So the application will update itself. We are working on version 2.0. So if you registered this week, at some point we stopped issuing the database because we took some great feedback that we gotten from some other Access MVPs, and we expect to have it released by Monday at the latest. So if you do register today, which I encourage you to do at CovidSuppliesDatabase.com, you'll get a link later on next week to download it. But one of the nice things about the system is it's designed for a finger, so you can use the admin center. And here you'll see that it comes preloaded already with many items that you might need during the pandemic, and you can add your own. What's one of the reasons why we call it the COVID Supplies Database? And toward the end of this list, you'll see that we have a lot of ventilators from different manufacturers already preloaded in the system. What you can do then when you launch it for the first time is you want to put in your location. So if I got multiple tents here, right, in Central Park, I can add the tent and keep track what's in each tent, or buildings or warehouse or whatever location means to you. And so once you have locations in the system, you can then start adding inventory to the system. And I've noticed like my screen is flashing. I don't know if you guys see it flashing there. Sorry about that if you see that flashing, but let me go ahead and share my entire desktop. Stand by here. See if that improves. Screen 1, screen 2. Okay, that might be better. So you can manage inventory here, and I mentioned about receiving inventory. So I go back to the desktop and look at the receipt queue. You'll see that we got a donation from the Gates Foundation here, and I can click to get details for that one. Actually, I clicked on the wrong one. So here I can see what was received. In this case, we got alcohol pads, 345 boxes. And they went into box number 2, excuse me, location number 2, and it tracks the expiration date. And that's something that is really important, right? Because a lot of these medical supplies have expiration dates. And so when you issue from the database, which I'm going to do now, issue inventory. I'm going to issue something today. and I'm going to say, okay, I want mask, and I do the drop down. It actually shows me from the most oldest, including the items that expired, right, and all the way to the most newest expiration date. So I can pick the one I want there, and it knows the location. So if I try to do too many cases than what I have, it tells me you can't exceed that. So all of that's already been programmed in. It's just a great effort from our team to be able to do FIFO. So I'm hoping that, number one, you help me promote this. It is free to use. It is multi-user cable right off the bat, so you can install on a network. And via social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, and be able to help the world during this pandemic. And let's show the world what the great tool Access is. To be able to use when there is no internet and you need to share data with other organizations. All right, any questions? I have to bring up the questions by stop sharing here.
Juan, are you going to make it multilingual?
Can you tell something about the setup? What is Access? What is on the web? Is it the runtime? What do you use here?
Yes, so Ben Cloutier, who's our architect, another former Access MVP, works at the IT Impact. He uses SSE setup to create the environment. So what happens is when you download the setup program, it installs the database. It first checks to see what version of Office you have, right? 32-bit version or 64-bit, and it provides you the right version of the system right off the bat. If you don't have Access Office or Microsoft Access installed, it'll provide you a link to download Runtime. Installs runtime default, which I believe is a 32-bit version, installing by default, and then you go back to the setup program. You finish the installation, and the nice thing about SSE setup, is that you can issue updates worldwide. So again, if you're in a village in India and you go back and have internet access back to an internet cafe, you can launch a system and it'll download the latest version with the latest reports and features and so forth. Good question.
Juan, another question, Donna Landy. How does a surgeon or nurse indicate that supplies have been used up?
All right, so when it comes to supplies, what we can do here is, again, let me show you my system here. We have a report generator. Again, we're going to launch with more reports, and I have an older version here, but I can have an items report, right, where you can specify what the report by item and be able to see the users history. This one doesn't have it because we're working on adding the report version 2, but we want to have users reports so that you can see when an item was consumed and what date, and we have totals at the end of the report for how much was total used for that date period, right? So you have a start date, and you have an end date, and you pick the particular item. You can then do it from there.
Another question was, will it be localized at some point?
Yes, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Peter, who's helped you organize this conference, has graciously offers to, after the conference is over, so next week, he's going to provide us with a tool to easily localize this with different languages. We're going to start with Spanish and German, Peter, because Peter knows German and I know Spanish, so we can knock those two out. And so that's another version update, right? So Peter has technology that allows you to pick the default language. When you install it, ask you what language it is, and then it automatically switches over to that.
It's not quite right. It allows you to switch the language inside the application.
Yeah, so you can do that from the app. So we have to modify the application. Maybe Peter will provide that modification for me, or we'll go ahead and modify it. But I know Peter adds tables and has a system that will scan all the labels and provide with alternate label for each control, so we can display the right language.
And we have people, I think, with about 20 different languages here. So just say hello to Juan and you get some work.
Yes, we would love people to work with this on that. So if you have a language that you would like to work with us, because the problem with Peter has the technology, he can get Japanese and he can get other ones, but we don't know if it's the proper syntax or proper way of naming things. So
neither do I, by the way. Like I'm gonna give you Japanese and Hebrew or whatever, but I have no idea whether it's right or not.
So absolutely, if you want to help us with this translation, that we'd be so happy about that to help you out. So you can contact me via CovidSuppliesDatabase.com. There's a support and contact form there. You can reach out to me. What is the next question?
Sorry, Juan, someone asked what you mentioned SSE setup. Could you explain what that stands for them, please?
Yeah, so I believe Ben can use SSE setup. I don't believe I know. So I believe they're at sssesetup.com. Let me just double check.
Yeah, just give it in your browser. It's a famous tool to create setups.
Looks like Daniel used it there, and you can see there's a link there at the bottom for Access developers when you go to that. And I'm impressed. We used it for this project. It's the first time we used it for this project. We purchased the license, and we're probably going to end up using this for every other client that does not have a local SQL Server, right? Because we have technology that allows you to deploy front ends using SQL Server blob field, but this is much better. Yeah, Daniel, we get the same feedback. Ben has been getting a lot of feedback from the owner of the technology. What other questions?
Can I quickly ask a question?
Sure.
Could you repeat the website name again? You said it too quickly, and I wanted to write it down.
Let me write it for you in the comments here. CovidSuppliesDatabase.com. Let me show it to you here real quick. So it's at CovidSuppliesDatabase.com.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
And so we're offering, look, it's a free database, but you're getting a phone number to call. You're getting an email. It's not like you download and you're on your own. We want people to be able to successfully use this, right? We want to hear stories. We want to hear about clinics, remote clinics, temporary hospitals, field hospitals that go up that use this. We want to hear about that so we can blog about them. It's our way of giving back, and it's our way of demonstrating that Access has a great role in this pandemic. We are working on other ideas that we want to release because it turns out that we're going to be living with COVID for quite some time. So we are working on other things. So we'll keep you updated on that if you sign up for the newsletter. What other questions you got for me? These are all great questions, by the way.
I think we're done with questions so far. Everything clear. Thank you very much, Juan. I hope you are successful with your tool. Thank you.
Thank you very much.